Just a sec. I gotta get my fucking sound in. What's going on here?
Wireless check. Wireless check. Level check.
No sound is working.
Huh?
I have no sound.
Level check. Check. Level check. Level check. Level check. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check. Check.
Checking 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
On sépare en arrière.
Check.
It's got no fucking sound, buddy.
I don't think you know.
Rick Jensen. We would also like to thank the London Police Honor Guard for their presence here this morning. Chers membres des familles de nos collègues disparus, chers collègues, mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à la lecture de la peine d'honneur du 30e service commémoratif des policiers et agents de la paix
Turn that.
canadiens. Je suis le sergent d'état-major Mike Denis
It's crooked.
Je suis accompagné
Up.
du garde Eric Jensen du
Sure.
Parc du Canada. Nous aimerions également remercier la participation de
Here.
la garde d'honneur du
You see
service de
it?
police de London aujourd'hui avec nous ce matin.
I want to get like the.
John Fisk, Timothy Pomeroy, Charles Richards, Johnston Cochran, Jeremiah Dunn, William Gibbard,
Okay.
John Curry, Ruben Onslow, Henry Trail, Charles Calton, Thomas Dobbin, George Clark, John Nash, George Mahoney, Lazar Doré, Marmaduke Rivera, John Usher, Claudius Cooley, Richard Howard, George Johnson, Adam Ball, John Lawson, George H.
Thomas Gibson, George Garrett, George Arnold,
Morning, how are you today?
David Cowan,
It's Mike John, Ricardo.
Ralph Slade,
Okay.
William Laurie,
Perfect.
Civilian. He's like a
Patrick Burke, Frank Elliott,
This is his girlfriend.
John
Hi,
Malone,
Michael. Nice to meet you.
John
Michael's
Beatty,
Michael's kind of like
John
the Prime Minister's
Rutledge,
right hand man.
Alfred Perry,
Blowjobs and stuff to people.
James Garrett,
Gets things done.
Albert Montgomery, Harry Morphy, Jacques DeBourgeois, David Cunningham, William Reading, William Pope, Joseph Stedman, John Davy, Henry Fair, Robert Rankin, William Lindsay, Indian Peter, Colin Colebrook, Oscar Kern, William Wilde, John Kerr, Charles Hawken, Michael Toohey, Alexander Maine, William Boyd, Spencer Heathcote, Norman Campbell, Stick Sam,
Arthur Brooke, James Byron, William Irving, Joseph Russell, Thomas Jackson, Alexander Haddock, Walter Flood, Archibald Howe, George Shea, George Wilkins, Ralph Donaldson, Isaiah Decker, Richard Stedman, Arthur Lane, Daniel O'Connell, Alfred Sampson, Richard Taylor, Francis Fitzgerald, George Kinney, Samuel Carter, John Beatty, Jeffrey Asman, Lewis Byers, Alex Kindness, Francis Davies, Robert McIntosh, John Johnson, Charles Rook, Harry Westaway, Maxwell Bailey, Matthew Hamilton, John McCarthy, James Archibald, Paul Smith, Michael Fitzgerald.
Honoré Bourgon, Richard Levis, William Hopkinson, Robert Coxford, William Rourke, Alphonse Desjardins, Malcolm McClellan, Arthur Duncan, Bernard Snug, Frank Beavers, James McKay, Frank Williams, Hampton Flatby, George Boissange, George Armstrong, William Nixon, Joseph Purcell, Albert Springstead, Arthur Audie, George Stanfield, Thomas Schwan, Frederick Bailey, Ernest Usher, Alex McCurdy, Robert Foster, James Utley, Arthur Searle, Richard Beard, Frank Sissons, Reginald Dreyer, Norman Agnew, William Doak, George Osborne, Anthony Tierney, William Holloway, Stephen Lawson, Robert McBee,
Joseph Truman, Jean Baudry, Charles Harris, Fred Lefebvre, John Burkhart, Charles Fulton, Ian McDonald, Margaret Nick, Andrew Bauer, Leo Cox, Stanley Blythe, John Woodell, Annalise Laframboise, Frederick Graves, Stephen McAvour, John Williams, John Billings, Malcolm Jenkins, Thomas Constable, Agadit LeBlanc, Frederick Rhodes, Charles St. Charles, William Mcgilberry,
没事没事，就想照他们工作照，就想照你工作照。
Okay.
Curtis Sargent,
他
Russell
听可以，
Wells,
那你就上照吧，
Darren Callahan,
照到吧，照人照他们可以可以。
Norman Maker, Albert Fisher, Richard Nicholson,
锁到了是吧？
William Clark, Miles
没锁到吧
Anderson, Thomas Kippo, Percy Couder,
对，再照一个，
Fred
不是刚刚就好
Bidley,，
那个人在
Thomas
是吧？
Kirk,
那我上来，
James Burkhardt,
我做了这个人。
Dennis Greenwood, Dada Ditzi, James McNichol,
我们来一起。
Roy McWillan,
哎，漂亮。
Norman Masson,
啊
Donald McDonnell, Fred Wolkaj, Blair Brown, John Montgomery, John Burton, Arthur Eisenhower, Albert Moog,
OK OK OK，
Edgar Millen,
再来再来，
Charles
快
Heffron,
点快点，很漂亮。
Leonard Rawls, Lawrence
哎，
Lees,
我觉得我在登上身上是不是
Albert
在
Ferre,
我是不是东方他
Joseph DeFerrari,
没有用我呀？我
Gabriel Childs,
还是泰国的身上。
Lawrence Sampson, Joe Carruthers, George Leonard,
哎，我刚刚身上会
James Mackey,
我照了半身，
Joseph Lefebvre,
有一个半身一个那个。
Russell Lemon, Colin McGregor,
好小的，好像。
Percival Carr,
按你的，你这张
Frank Gisborne, Jules Vachon, John Byrne, Edward McMaster, Michael Moriarty, Charles Miller, William Wainwright,
John Shaw, Thomas Wallace, George Harrison,
I think
Daniel
they thought you were a TV reporter.
Charles Gillis, Danny
I'm not kidding.
George Lewis, John McCormick, Orville Story, John Sangster,
I'm pretty sure they thought you were a reporter.
George Howard, Leopold Shatner, George Moore, Frederick Davidson,
You could say you met a TV
David
person.
Haas, David Beckett, Bartlett Smith, Robert Pennington, Donald Sherrill, James Ross, William
Scott put his thing over his head and they're like,
Fred Carter, Elmer Shepard, Lucien Bourgeois, Michael Green, Willis Rodenweiser, Frederick Blucher, Norman
it's a
Meadow,
good idea. I'm going to get some shots
John
closer.
McDonald,
Yeah.
I'm just going to cut it all up and edit it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Frederick Mansell,
I'm limited to what I can
Alfred
do
Curtis,
consecutively.
Harry Radier, Gerard Bouchard,
Harold Dent, Donald Pickle, Gerard Coco, Roland Allen, Wilfred Cox, Henry Jarvis, Ovida Roy, Frank Clark, Kierwood White, Harry Fordham, Albert Chatron, John Scott, John Moyes, George Jackman, Lawrence Ryder, Thomas Espy, Charles Ainer, Maurice Powers, Edwin Pierce, Henry Farmer, George Vanderveer, Robert Tanning, Robert Duncan, Wilf Fobad, Thomas Stoneman, Robert Wright, Harry McKinney, Charlemagne Bouchard, Michael Collins, Wilfred Cobble, Simon Fisher, Charles Boyes, Oliver Ledingham, Francis Graham, Douglas Reynolds, John Kennedy, Carl Gray, George Yulee,
James Henderson, Kenneth Weaver, Murdoch MacDonald, Carl Wilson, Paul Duhan, Nelson Paquin, Howard Pegg, Reginald Morden, Edward Terrell, Jerry Galt, George Vaughan, Cecil Holden, Alexander Gaman, Herschel Wood, James Sims, John Johnson, Ahmed Sauvé, Frank Hare, Joseph Atherby, Millard Brennan, Ernest Laverne, Edmund Plum, James Priest, Stephen Casper, Francis Stamp, Kenneth Lennon, Joseph Sander, Ronald Bloomfield, Robert Lebec, Douglas Ferguson, Fabien Galibo, George Constantino, Robert Jones, George Donnelly, Ernest Paul, Florian Poirier, Roy Laird, Charles Ray, Lee Granstone,
Jim Noble, Gordon Sinclair, David McCombie, William Nelson, John Bahan, William Frank, Henry Chandler, Matthew Koznika, Ernesto Chalifou, Louis Durant, David Romano, John Cobley, Charles Hull, Claire McGillen, Philip Delarue, Peter Seaborn, Henry Harper, Ronald Pitt, François Florent, Kenneth Delmage, George Smith, Boris Melnichuk, Glenn Farrow, David Carey, George Ransom, Herbert Smart, Carl Sundel, Charles Denis, Stanley Rothwell, Joseph Cormier, Richard Green, Derrida Lévesque, Willis Jacob, John Hoey, Roger Beaupré, Calvin Fulport,
Ira Smith, William Moss, Malcolm Jack, John Perkins, Earl Doyle, Harold Thompson, Leslie Greer, Colin Elliott, Robert Kirby, Edward Wiggins, Emilia Nadeau-Nobel, Hubert Corbin, Lucien Dany, Jean-Marc Robert, Theodore Christensen, Ronald Ekstrom, Marcel Lacombe, Gérard Richard, Gérard Bernier, Wayne Sinclair, Léo Simon, William Wentworth, Roger Auguste, Dennis Winstonley, Lawrence Short, Frederick Nash, Donald Weisberger, Gordon Pedersen, Elwick Keck, Alfie Lepine, James McDonald, David Gregory, Marcel Roch, Thomas Black, John McNutt, Claude Marino,
Kelly Brabant, Marius Trépanier, James Foreman, Joseph Tellier, Harley Island, Philippe Ayat, Jeffrey Armstrong, Proctor Malcolm, Robert Hazel, Kenneth Laughlin, Truman, Patrick Armstrong, Arthur Trentham, Roy Jennings, John Bassett, Kenneth Evans, Joseph Dubois, Walter McCauley, Calvin Byam, Elvin Giesbrecht, Alexander Croton, Edwin Masterton, David Chenal, William Monroe, Robert Avey, Reginald Williams, David Robinson, Neil Bruce, Kenneth Cornelson, Bob Luther, Carl Little, Émile Lachance, Laurier Canel, Guy Renaud, Georges Ely, Alfred Newland,
Ronald Webster, Thomas Carroll, Charles Morrish, Robert Mackey, Philip Tidman, Edward Holdsworth, Ian Collinson, Thomas Emery, Claude Gay, Roger Beausoleil, Gordon Pearson, Al Comfort, William McLeod, Gerald Paradis, Terry Tompour, Donald Harvey, Donald Martin, Frederick Harris, Yves Saint-Jean, Roger Saint-Jean, Robert Varney, James Hamilton, Austin Letcher, Charles Geary, Ghislaine Martineau, Gilles Jean, Gerald Mills, Gérard Deschamps, Peter Kirk, Samuel Enkelman, André Duhaime, Bradford Brown, Alain Falardeau, Lauren Chapaty, James Kerr, James Smith, Stan Christie,
John McMurray, Gilles Poutin, Terry Williams, Leonard Shakespeare, Robert Carrick, David Goldsworthy, Robert Dumas, Silas Beatty, David Tuckey, William Rogers, Ronald Houston, Stephen Schultz, Mark Bolden, William Green, Douglas Anson, Robert Schrader, James O'Malley, Derek Ivany, Harold Siegel, John Verral, Gabriel Labelle, Bernard Charlevoix, Michael Mason, Jean Savourin, Fernand Bertrand, Donald Lewis, Douglas Sinclair, Michael Irwin, Leslie Gardner, John Starchuk, Claire Lackey, Ernest de Saint-Pierre, Médéric County, Robert Marat, James Brink,
James Lothian, Leslie Maitland, Marc-André Gagnon, John Young, Calvin Swires, Richard Minette, Richard Larente, Thomas Cooper, Evan Gilmore, George Mullally, Leonard Slater, Laurent Tremblay, Ron McKay, Roger Pillett, Joseph Letourneau, Joseph Tremblay, Luciano De Simone, Stanley Green, John Adriginda, Ronald McKay, Aimé Pelletier, Michael O'Leary, Aurel Bourgeois, Hugh Davidson, Gerald Thompson, Louis Nadeau, Gary McDonald, Maurice Chatterson, Gilles Beauvais, Roy Eddy, Mary Steinhauser, Joseph Gosset, Ronald Spruill, Gary Noseworthy, Carl George,
Lee Wilson, John Baldwinson, Eric Spicer, Donald Irwin, Michel Bedard, Alan Harrison, Alan Assiniboine, Ronald Lee, Paul Gosling, Gérald Diffoussé, Conrad Kuhn, Bernard Brassard, Robert Brabant, Dennis Tchaikovsky, William Shelver, David Kirkwood, David Foster, Guy Sanson, Ronald McKean, John Roscoe, Joseph Brophy, Barry Lidstone, John Kuznier, Dennis Onifree, Michel Roy, William Seward, Jean-Claude Phoenix, Thomas King, James Begbie, Paul Fournier, John Lau, Henry Snedden, Paul Patterson, Francis Eustich, Joseph Maurice, Lindbergh Davis, Mike McLachlan,
Jean-René Vallée, Police de la Communauté urbaine de Montréal, Park Warden Neil Colgan, Parks Canada, Constable Joseph Doucette, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Constable Gordon Brooks, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Special Constable Miguel Siak Titoy, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Constable Duncan McAleese, Ontario Provincial Police, Constable George Bennett, Ontario Provincial Police, Constable Michael Sweet, Metropolitan Toronto Police, Forest Warden Albert Roy, New Brunswick Department of Natural Resources, Constable Roy Karlowski, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Gal Shasta Como, Ministère des Ressources Naturelles du Nouveau-Brunswick, Customs Inspector George Allery, Revenue Canada, Customs, Constable Richard Sedgwick, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Agent Gilles
Move your
Leval,
purse around.
Civil
Just gonna.
Constable Thomas Agar, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Correctional Officer William Morrison, Dorchester Penitentiary, Agent André Simal, Civil Quebec, Constable Thomas Hicks, Ontario Provincial Police, Constable William Shores, Ontario Provincial Police, Constable Richard Venezia, Ontario Provincial Police, Agent Pierre Brulé,
You can just feel it starting to overheat.
Agent Serge
Did
Lamy,
you change the battery?
Sûreté du Québec,
Oh, you took it off?
Constable Hurley Calhoun, Fredericton Police, Constable Kenneth Sweat, Ontario Provincial Police,
Is he gonna read it like that now?
Fishery Officer
Huh?
Joseph
Is he gonna
Tremblay,
read it like that now?
Fisheries and Oceans Canada,
He's here.
Corporal Ule Larson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police,
Which way is he going?
Constable
He's going to the
James
front, so he's going
Thomas,
this way.
Royal
much further?
Canadian Mounted Police,
Let me know when we're on like the last two.
Roger Onesky, Alberta Forest Services, Constable Percival Cummins, Metropolitan Toronto Police, Sergent Jacques Martin, Sûreté du Québec, Agent Michel Desan,
How many phones does he have?
Huh?
How many phones does he
Agent
have?
Emmanuel Piché, Police de la
Yes, two.
Communauté urbaine de Montréal, Constable Barry McKinnon,
Can you hear
Royal
on yours?
Canadian Mounted
Where
Police,
was your battery?
Cool.
Constable Bertha Paul Sangara, Vancouver Police, Agent Lorraine Bédard, Sûreté du Québec, Constable William Smith, Ontario Provincial Police,
Detective Inspector Lauren Foran, Ontario Provincial Police, Rich Constable Richard Hopkins, Ontario Provincial Police. Garde de Parc Robert Leblanc, Parc Canada. Senior Correctional Officer David Van Den Abiel, Senior at Chambeau Institution.
I wonder why they're reading it
Surveillant
like that
municipal de
now.
correction Léon de Leblanc.
I wonder why they're reading it like that now.
Like what?
Agent de correction Denis Rivard,
What changed?
établissement at Chambeau.
Well, when the guy's saying
Constable
English,
Douglas Butler,
it's like
Royal
constable
Canadian Mounted
whatever from
Police.
where. Before they weren't saying it, they were just
Detective Volker Shiga,
yeah.
Peel Regional Police.
No. No.
Detective William
Again, they've been
Hawkins,
saying where they're
Peel
from.
Regional Police.
It's on my video.
Agent Serge Laforêt, police de la
stopped
communauté
for a while
urbaine de
then.
Montréal.
And they were just saying, yeah, because I
Agent
was
de
going like
correction
this.
Serge Delarme, établissement à
And I
Chambeau.
can't do that now. Well, I can. But
Agent
I'll
Richard Dubé, Sûreté du Québec. Gendarme Richard Beaupoint, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada. Constable Russell O'Connor, Ottawa Police. Constable Bruce Crew, Ontario Provincial Police. Constable David Huckman, Nepean Police Service. Constable Daniel Koff, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Officer Robert Logan, Manitoba Department of Natural Resources. Corporal Francis Jones, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Special Constable Wayne Myers, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Vehicle Inspection Officer Graham Jackson, British Columbia Ministry of Transportation and Highway.
John said it.
No, no. It's good.
Corporal William McIntyre,
better
Ontario
down
Provincial
here.
Police. Constable Robert Anderson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Living Unit Officer Joseph Wendell, Stony Mountain Institution. Living Unit Officer Werner Friesen, Stony Mountain Institution. Constable Douglas Tribling, York Regional Police. Constable Dwayne Kukala, Peel Regional Police. Constable David Dunmore, Metropolitan Toronto Police. Le patrouilleur Pierre Beaulieu, police de la communauté urbaine de Montréal. Constable John Ross, Ontario Provincial Police. Constable William Grant, York Regional Police. Constable Vernon Miller, Ontario Provincial Police. Sergent détective Robert Lavue, police de la communauté urbaine de Montréal. Constable Alan Giesbridge, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Michael Boudet, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Constable Richard McLaughlin, Ontario Provincial Police. Agent Yves Tetu, Police de la Ville de Québec. Agent Jacques Giguère, Police de Sergent Jacques Fillon, Sécurité Publique d'Albert. Constable Donald Campbell, Ontario Provincial Police. Agent Jacinthe Pike, Police de la Communauté urbaine de Montréal. Garde-chasse Alain Chouinard, Ministère des Ressources, Pêche et Fonds du Québec. Gendarme Mario Cassier, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada. Special Constable James Wilson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Special Constable Wayne Mossel, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Randall Skidmore, Ontario Provincial Police. Special Constable Robert Thomas, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Corporal Maurice Savoy, Ontario Provincial Police. Auxiliary Constable Frederick Abel, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Corporal Bud Johansson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Agent Claude Saint-Laurent, Police de la Communauté urbaine de Montréal. Constable Scott Berry, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Agent Marcel Simard, Police de Saint-Hubert. Agent Robert Larille, Police de la Communauté urbaine de Montréal. Agent Danny Tremblay, Sûreté du Québec. Caporal Jacques Hamel, Sûreté du Québec. Special Constable Gordon Kowalczyk, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Sergeant Larry Young, Vancouver Police. Agent Emmanuel Aucoin, Patrouille Routière du Nouveau-Brunswick. Corrections Officer Alvin Frank, Minister of the Solicitor General and Correctional Services. Conservation Officer Henry Gudala, Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources. Constable Stephen Gazelle, Niagara Regional Police. Agent Roland Lafrochelle, Sûreté du Québec. Constable Hugh Lynn, Metropolitan Toronto Police. Agent Gaétan Boutin, Sûreté du Québec. Agent Mario Cameron, Sûreté du Québec. Agent Richard Rochefort, Sûreté du Québec. Forest Officer Donat Lalonde, Department of Forestry, Lands and Wildlife, Alberta Forest Services. Conservation Officer Donald Wood, Nova Scotia Department of Lands and Forests. Constable John Grigowski, Ontario Provincial Police. Corporal Derek Flanagan, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Constable Della Beliak, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Investigator Grant Martin, Canadian Pacific Railway Police. Le garde-chasse Luc Guindon, Ministère des Ressources, Pêche et Fonds du Québec. Officer Keith Bartley, Manitoba Department of Natural Resources. Special Constable Nancy Putkameri, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Special Constable Vincent Timms, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Conservation Officer Murray Dole, Saskatchewan Department of Natural Resources. Constable Ezio Faroni, Edmonton Police. Le caporal Marcel Lemay, Sûreté du Québec. Constable Gerald Rees, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Sergent Jean-Claude Cadieux, Sûreté du Québec. Correctional Officer Daniel Lennon, Solicitor General, Correction Services, Ontario. L'agent Yves Faneuf, Police de la Communauté urbaine de Montréal. Sergeant Thomas Cooper, Ontario Provincial Police. Conservation Officer Arthur Hagen, Saskatchewan Department of Natural Resources. Constable Brian Hutchinson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The Constable Scott Roster, Ingersoll Police.
Ah, fuck, I worked with him.
Constable Christopher Rigler, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Andrew Gordon, Ontario Provincial Police. Constable Sam Ballmer, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Game Warden Patrick Poirier, Quebec Ministry of Resources, Fish and Games. Constable Robert Vanderweel, Calgary Police. Park Warden Patrick Sheehan, Parks Canada. L'agente Chantal Mathieu, Sûreté du Québec. Constable Jeffrey Palazzi, Niagara Regional Police. Constable Brent Beefkine, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Probation Officer Bill Kennedy, BC Ministry of the Solicitor General and Correctional Services. Constable Eric Neisted, Ontario Provincial Police. Constable Joseph McDonald, Sudbury Regional Police. Constable Richard Sonnenberg, Calgary Police. L'agent Richard Jean, Police provinciale de l'Ontario. L'agent Alain Desforges, Police provinciale de l'Ontario. Sergent détective Paul Simard, Police de la Ville de Québec. L'agent Yvan Filteau, Police de la Ville de Québec. L'agent Gaston Paradis, Sûreté du Québec.
Constable Albert Taylor, Natchitoches and First Nations. Agent Stéphane Roy, Sûreté du Québec. Customs Superintendent James Finnemore, Revenue Canada, Customs. Customs Inspector David Moore, Revenue Canada, Customs. Customs Inspector Ruth Cora, Revenue Canada, Customs. Constable Todd Bayless, Metropolitan Toronto Police. Park Warden Simon Parusing, Parks Canada. Constable John Knight, Metropolitan Toronto Police. Sergeant Malcolm Williams, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Directeur Denis Nadeau, Sûreté Municipale Saint-Marie. Constable Kenneth Roy, Ontario Provincial Police. Natural Resources Officer Ken Squark, Manitoba Ministry of Natural Resources. Constable Norman Atkins, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Gendarme Joseph Garnier, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada. Agente Odette Pinard, Police de la Communauté Urbaine de Montréal. Lynn Sharper, Saskatchewan Department of Social Services. Senior Constable Michael Gula, Ontario Provincial Police. Agent André Lalonde, Police de la Communauté Urbaine de Montréal. Sergeant Derek Burkholder, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Tyler Francis, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Fishery Officer Dean Miller, Department of Fisheries and Oceans. Conservation Officer Brenton Thomas, Saskatchewan Environment and Resource. Conservation Officer Kevin Bistelt, Saskatchewan Environment and Resource. Correctional Officer Arnold Harrison, Spring Hill Institution. Senior Constable Thomas Coffin, Ontario Provincial Police. Agent correctionnel Diane Lavigne, Centre de détention de Montréal. Agent correctionnel Pierre Rondeau, Unité de mouvement et de comparution de Montréal. Forest Officer Daniel Brink, Alberta Environmental Protection. Forest Officer Gordon Brown, Alberta Environmental Protection. Gendarme François Carrière, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada. Constable Gerald Fortis, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Detective Constable William Hancox, Toronto Police. Corporal Brian Cumming, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable David Nicholson, Waterloo Regional Police. Agent Dominique Crochenne, Régie Municipale de Police de la Région de Joliette.
Hey, Mike.
Senior Detective Keith Badger, Ontario Provincial Police.
Deputy Sheriff James Askew, Ontario General Sheriff Services Kamloops. Gendarme Daniel Le Bourdon, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada. Sergeant Richard McDonald, Sudbury Police Service. L'agent principal Charles Mercier, Police Provinciale de l'Ontario. Senior Project Officer Daniel Rowan, Correctional Services Canada. Senior Constable James McFadden, Ontario Provincial Police. Constable Mark Ewenhouse, Delta Police. Sergeant Margaret Eve, Ontario Provincial Police. Constable Noel Sadie, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Special Constable Timothy Nicholson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Sergeant Edwin Mobley, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. L'agent Alain Forget, Police de Saint-Hubert. L'agent Alain Matt, Police de la Communauté Urbaine de Montréal. Constable Johnny Petropoulos, Calgary Police. Constable Serger Holton, Halifax Police Service. Park Warden Dieter Dunsford, Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources. Constable Jurgen Seawall, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Forest Officer John Graham, Alberta Sustainable Resource Development. Constable Darren Beattie, Calgary Police. Constable Peter Magic, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Dennis Strongwill, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Agent Martin Lefebvre, Police de Shawinigan. Park Warden Michael Wynn, Parks Canada. Constable Laura Ellis, Toronto Police. L'agent Benoît Lécuyer, Police de Montréal. La gendarme Christine Diat, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada. Constable Will Audi, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Paul Luder, Walpole Island Police. Senior Constable Alan Kuzmich, South Simcoe Police. Sheriff's Officer Michelle Nagasi, Sheriff's Office, Campbellton, New Brunswick. Constable Jamie King, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Le caporal Antonio Assono, Sûreté du Québec. Conservation Officer Walter Seelan, Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources. Senior Constable Philip Shrive, Ontario Provincial Police. Gendarme Saint-Maurice, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada.
Senior Constable John Flagg, Ontario Provincial Police. Corporal Stephen Gibson, Canadian Forces Military Police. Agent Patrick de Sécurité du Québec. Corporal Jim Galloway, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Christopher Garrett, Cobourg Police. Constable Tyler Coutelier, Ontario Provincial Police. Parole Officer Louis Marketer, Correctional Service Canada. Constable Michael Simon, Ontario Provincial Police. Constable Anthony Gordon, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Leo Johnston, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Brock Michael, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Peter Sheehan, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Gendarme Jean Miguet, Gendarmerie Royale Canada. Constable Jose Agostino, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Andrew Potts, Ontario Provincial Police. Agent de protection de l'homme, Nicolas Rochette, Ministère des Ressources naturelles et de la faune du Québec. Agent de protection de la faune, Fernand Vachon, Ministère des Ressources naturelles et de la faune du Québec. Agente Valérie Quignac, Service de protection des citoyens de Laval. Constable John Boyer, Abbotsford Police. Corporal Randy Payne, Military Police. Corporal Matthew Dane, Military Police. Senior Constable John Atkinson, Windsor Police. Senior Constable Donald Doucette, Sault Ste. Marie Police. Constable Robin Cameron, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Gendarme Marc Otage, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada. Constable David Muncie, Ontario Provincial Police. Agent de protection de la faune, Charles Privette, Ministère des Ressources naturelles et de la faune du Québec. Agent Daniel Tessier, Service de protection des citoyens de Laval. Detective Robert Plunkett, York Regional Police. Constable Christopher Warden, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Douglas Scott, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Agent Eric Lavoie, Service de protection des citoyens de la Ville de Laval. Constable James Lundblad, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable Alan Hack, Ontario Provincial Police.
L'agente Mélanie Roy, Service de police de la ville de Lévis. Constable Eric Chapman, Ottawa Police. Sergeant Mark Gallagher, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Chief Superintendent Douglas Coates, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Constable James Barczykovsky, Peel Regional Police. Constable Vu Pham, Ontario Provincial Police. Constable Chelsea Robinson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Gendarme Michael Pagrin, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada. Agent Sébastien Cogman-Goyette, Sûreté du Québec. Sergeant Ryan Russell, Toronto Police.
It's like the last couple ones.
Constable Garrett Stiles, York Regional Police. L'agent Vincent Roy, Police de la ville de Beaumont. Constable Derek Pino, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Rodney Lazenby, Municipal District for Foothills Protective Services. Constable Ketia Albouchy, Sûreté du Québec. L'agent Donovan Lagrange, Sûreté du Québec. Constable Adrian Oliver, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Wildlife Officer Howard Labbers, Newfoundland Labrador Department of Justice. Le constable Steve Deary, Police Régionale de Kativik. Constable Jennifer Kovac, Guelph Police. On May 31st, 2013, Conservation Officer Justin Maxted, Saskatchewan Ministry of Environment. On December 2nd, 2013, Constable John Zipchick, Toronto Police. Le 4 juin 2014, le gendarme Fabrice Georges Gévaudan, Gendarmerie Royale du Canada. June 4, 2014, Constable Dave Joseph Ross, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. June 4, 2014, Constable Douglas James Lash, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. This concludes the reading of the honor roll. We thank you for joining us this morning. Ceci met fin à la lecture de l'appel d'honneur. Merci de vous être rejoints nous ce matin.
Last year, whatever. Yeah. This year, everybody's doing his way. So, how do you let them go?
It's okay. Down.
Well, you know, it gives you a little chance to sort of sit back and you know, actually think about it. Now you can do the projects that kind of are like foundation stuff. Well, you know, of course, it's all part of the job.
What's that? Are they? Are you on? Oh, the seeds. I think of the water. Yeah, you can sit the seeds. Just don't sit where it's red.
Yes.
Really kind of chill. I can put my thing on now that I'm not running around. Two for two.
getting those things arrested. Well, it's probably a good call. Like Sam in the same boat. Actually, went to This guy's a superstar. Keep him moving.
All right.
When the old guys get arrested.
I lead a pretty good life, so it's the attitude. Plus, we got a lot of union reps, so.
Tell you what TVA guys.
A little bit heavy. Yeah, they're crazy, but so then you're gonna run. Like,
Saturday night in Ottawa, I'm going to go ahead and go out on the limb and say Egypt.
yeah.
Big hand is like that. Okay. So when the big hand goes straight